This weekend, riots erupted in several major cities as the No Kings protests carried on. Now, I would say it was mostly peaceful. That's fair, I suppose. But in places like Chicago, Portland, and California, things got particularly violent. Now, the scary thing about this is the lead story in that run-of-the-mill liberal, not some far-left Antifa guy, is seen on video bullhorning, calling for people to take up arms, to buy guns, and shoot and kill DHS agents. This is not the confines of the extremist Antifa corner anymore. We knew this after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The motivating ideology of this violence is held by mainstream, middle-of-the-road Democrats, and that's what we're seeing now from the No Kings protest. Another viral video? Apparently a teacher mocking Charlie Kirk's death by pointing her finger to her neck like a gun while jumping up and down. Because this is what they think. And a story from actually over a month ago, almost 2 months now, which I think is actually one of the more worrying stories. Regular old liberal accountant. Normal guy. Driving through rural North Carolina, decides to stop after seeing a Trump sign and becoming so enraged that he goes onto this man's property to pull the sign down. When the homeowner fires 2 warning shots from a rifle to defend his property, this man goes to his vehicle, grabs a gun, and opens fire on this Trump supporter's home, nearly striking him. Fortunately, this man is okay. But the reason why I see this story as particularly terrifying is that it's not a politician, wasn't a targeted assassination. It was just some accountant liberal guy who finally snapped. And to me, it feels like the beginnings of a zombie apocalypse film where, in like Shaun of the Dead, he notices some people are sick and he doesn't really think anything of it. I hope this is not the beginning of something worse, but I have to be honest. You guys know me. I'm not here to report stories that aren't actually happening, to insinuate things that aren't happening are. I'm here to show you actual headlines from mainstream media and provide an opinion on them. And when week after week, since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and even before with the terror attacks on ICE, we are seeing more stories like this, it feels like the beginning of a zombie film. Not like there's actual zombies, although maybe. It feels like we are seeing bubbling up, the pot boiling in every direction. And some may say it's impossible, it can never happen, maybe normalcy bias, maybe optimism bias. But guys, these stories we're going to show you. This is Fox News. This is the Daily Mail. This is the New York Post. This is even CNN. This is what's being reported in the news following a particularly heated weekend at the No Kings protests. So we're going to talk about that and more. Before we get started, my friends, we do have some great sponsors for you. Maybe after all of that and everything I said, you're lying awake at night terrified. Well, fear not. Go to shopbeam.com/Timpool and pick up some Beam Dream, which will help you sleep. And oh, my stars and garters, they have pumpkin spice flavor. I am not kidding. I am going to be buying a bunch of this as soon as we are off stream. I already bought a bunch of the caramel flavor. It is absolutely incredible. I am a huge fan of Beam Dream. It helps you sleep. It's got L-theanine. It's got melatonin. It's got magnesium. You drink it just before bed, the perfect amount. Nice little cup of hot cocoa, or technically with caramel, peanut butter, and pumpkin spice. They even have a melatonin-free. Because I've heard some people say, maybe I don't want the melatonin, I just want to sleep better. Maybe I need the magnesium. Check out shopbeam.com/Timpool. Pick this stuff up. I ain't playing. I drink this every single night. That is a fact. That is true. I literally have people coming to me being like, do you really drink that stuff? Yes, I am not reading a script. When they first sent it to us, there was a script I was reading. After a week of drinking it every night, my sleep score improved. I felt so good. I'm like, legitimate. This is amazing. And Beam, you guys rock. I'm a huge fan of what you guys make, and I will drink it every night. So again, check it out. Shout out to Beam Dream for sponsoring the show. ShopBeam.com. They got a discount for you if you use promo code Timpool or /Timpool. We do have another great sponsor for you. It's Perplexity. Check this out. Get 1 month of ad-free access through Rumble Premium when you download the Perplexity browser Comet. Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity called Comet that is completely changing the way you are able to interact with your browser. Using Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you. This is no joke. Check this out. It can order food through like DoorDash, Domino's, Instacart. It can book special personalized restaurant reservations. It can buy things on Amazon like Ralph Lauren or a movie ticket. It can book a flight or a hotel. It'll help you prepare for your day. It can send messages and emails. It can schedule meetings. It can search, respond, and analyze comments under a post. It can pull up something, video tabs or moments. It's pretty cool, right? Download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to, what do we have here? We have perplexity.ai/Comet. And, I'm sorry, you can use pplx.ai/Timcast. That's the one we want to use. Let your browser work for you. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you'll get a month of Rumble Premium for free. Now, that's amazing because we got that Uncensored show coming up for you at 10 p.m. I assure you it's going to get very, very serious and very dark. There's certain things that we are going to refrain from talking about on the standard public portion of the show. The uncensored version, there's a lot of stuff we need to discuss, and it's getting a very dark. We will discuss some of it. But my friends, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know joining us tonight. Talk about this and so much more. Actually, we have two guests. Would you like to introduce yourself first and then our other special guest?
I'm DeVarJ DJ Daniel. And I'm just going to say this. My dad is running for Congress, and I experienced some nasty people that won't debate him still ripping down his signs, and I don't appreciate that. I mean, if you scared to debate him, that's all you got to say. I'm just saying.
Right on. Let's go. Well, thanks for joining us. Sir, you're running for Congress. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Theodis Daniel. I'm DJ Daniel's father. And, I'm running for Congress. It's a personal thing with me. It doesn't have anything to do with money.
Right on.
RJ's cancer came from the environment, and there's a lot of elected people that were thinking about themselves on the suffrage of other people.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting. But I will say, because of the very serious nature, DJ will only be here for a little bit. I know there's a lot of people who might. There's some probably topics we're talking about. The intro of the show is actually pretty dang serious. So not to. I think DJ's pretty on top of things, but some of this stuff might get pretty dark. So we got Shane hanging out.
What's going on? I know you're from Texas, but you're my favorite deputy mayor from New York City. That's wild. Didn't that happen? It's crazy. It was like a month ago.
Yes, sir.
Well, right on.
Thank you.
Shane, what do you do?
Oh, I'm a host of Inverted World Live. I'm obviously from a different timeline, and we're going to talk about 2 moons tonight that the Earth has, thanks to NASA. We have 2 moons now, yeah.
Is that an actual? It's true.
Yeah. They call it a quasi-moon, but there are 2 moons now. And it'll only be here until 2058 because it has a timer on it.
Last week you weren't even sure that there was one, and now when you show up and you're like...
I know there's none, but...
There's none, all right. Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
We got Tate hanging out.
Oh, Tate.
I'm over here on
Sorry,
the
Tate.
My bad.
No, I'm like hitting away.
I apologize.
No, I think we should go for a 3rd moon. I think NASA, we have the budget, maybe Big Beautiful Bill or something. I think we could go for a 3rd.
You guys, they're just giant spotlights on a track above the firmament. Don't you know anything?
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But let's actually, before we get into the very serious news, I want to make sure we give enough time to DJ and his dad Theodis. If you guys want to tell your story, I know that it's rather shocking. I mean, Democrats wouldn't stand up and rise for DJ, who's been through so much. You're running for Congress, and I want to make sure you guys have some time before we move on to the more serious stuff to tell your story.
Okay. Well, where you go? Let me do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. There was we actually didn't know what was going on when we were asked to come to the joint session. Matter of fact, I didn't know what that was. So we came and we met everybody from Jocelyn Nungrave's, the 12-year-old that was killed by the Venezuelan immigrant.
Yeah.
And was raped and threw under that bridge on Rankin Road in Houston. And then Lincoln Riley's mother and sisters were there. I mean, everybody was there. You could think about it. But we didn't know that that President Trump was going to honor each of the families, and that happened. But to see one side of the aisle, because we didn't know who Democrat or Republican was, nobody made that known. But it kind of manifested itself, and I guess it was supposed to happen that way. But when they didn't stand up for Jocelyn's mother or Lincoln Riley's mother and family, it's like, how could you not stand up for two to one little girl and one woman that was raped by some, Venezuelan immigrants. And so I said, those got to be kind of like evil folks. And then when we got to us and they didn't stand up, and I was so pissed off because I've taken him to almost everybody's events or meet and greets and scrape pennies up, lean out of my pockets to get him there. And for them folks to just sit on their hands is like you failed everyone.
It's kind of crazy how partisan and tribal everything's become. Where, I mean, your story is a simple story of triumph, hardship. Everybody should, there's the human element of, we want to be kind, we want to celebrate people who've overcome challenges. But because you were with the Republicans, Democrats are just like, you get nothing from us. That's a terrifying reality. I mean, there's no unity.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to think about the across the aisle. Most of those folks never worked for anything anyway. They were handed everything. So when parents give their kids cars, they tear them up until they get it on their own.
The terrifying thing is, I hear, we're having this partisan challenge right now, especially with the escalation of violence. The things I'm hearing following the assassination of Charlie Kirk are guys. I want to save some of this because I think it's going to get pretty serious. But the past couple of weeks, the things I've heard from regular people have made me come to believe the escalation is substantially more dramatic. But this is just one story. I mean, even predating Charlie Kirk being killed, where you can't get a single Democrat to just say, politics aside, you guys, thoughts and prayers, amazing story. You've overcome so much. We wish you the best. They can't even do that. That's scary. That's scary. And now we're seeing just how much more terrifying the split is getting.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Did any Democrats come up privately and say anything to you?
The only one that came up, which when I was being interviewed, I'd always say that nobody stood up. Well, I was wrong, so I had to go back and correct it. Unlike them, I don't mind making corrections.
Yeah.
And I just said, there was one congresswoman that was a Democrat named Lauren Gillen, and she was absolutely the only one that went against her whole party and stood up.
It's crazy that's just one.
And I took him back over there. I think it cost us $1,700, and I took him all the way back to D.C. just so he can give her a hug.
Wow,
and,
that's amazing.
That's great.
So it's funny because she took us into the same room we were in, and I was looking. I was like, wait a minute. I asked her, man, are we on the wrong side of the room? Because I thought this is the Democrat side. She said, oh, yeah, you got to be on this. I said, oh, my God. So I was like, okay, can you do me one favor? I said, please. If Jasmine Crockett comes up and try to talk to my son, avoid her like the plague until she apologizes for talking about my son's scars on his head.
Wow.
How does a grown person? Yeah, she talked about him like a dog. I mean, it's all over the news.
I didn't see that. That's crazy.
Wow.
I jumped on Rachel Maddow. Well, Mad Cow and Nicole Wallace and Breakfast Club, Charlemagne the God, Jester Hilarious. They all took their turns taking jabs at a 13-year-old, bullying him.
That's ridiculous.
That's what it's called.
Wow,
bullying.
yeah. This is a week ago.
Yeah, and they're nasty people.
Let me pull this one up. Look at this. Stephen A. Smith claps back at Jasmine Crockett over this was right. It was or was this a different story?
Yeah.
I could have sworn it just said. Let me pull that one up. Pretty sure that I clicked news and it said, okay, it was the next. Okay, so this is from May. Sorry, I got the wrong one. I can't find. You know what? Yeah, the story's there somewhere, but there's too many, and I'm not going to be able to find it right away.
Eric Adams was all right.
Oh yeah, well I mean he even if you put DJ Daniel and put Jasmine Crockett, it pulls right up, and you see he called her burnt marshmallow and all kind of stuff because he was so mad at her.
Wow.
I mean, he's a kid, so he was really hurt about it. I've given her 9 opportunities to apologize, and she sends a message back and says she's not apologized to me or DJ.
That's crazy.
I said, you know what? That's fine. I said, you are some nasty people. Mm-hmm. She's the actor. I mean, she's from St. Louis.
I mean, yeah, she's playing a role.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't know anything about being in no hood or nothing like that.
She pretends.
Oh, she's pretends. She's a true actor.
Yep.
I mean, she hadn't passed one legislation. Let's be honest. Only thing she's passed through her mouth is hot air and spit. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
True.
But no, yeah, President Trump. I mean, and the first Miss Melania, they still call and they still send letters to my house.
Wow.
Just checking on us. So it's not like it was just a deal where he just made him a Secret Service. He could have found anybody else in the whole world to call but he picked us. That's like shooting in the area hitting fish.
Yeah.
And so we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know, DJ, did you want to tell us anything about the experience, what's been going on, and how you're feeling, what's going on?
Well, my dad has been running for Congress, and he's been putting up his signs, and everybody been ripping them down. I don't appreciate that. I mean, if you was scared to debate the man, that Mr. Daniel, I mean, if you scared, just say that. Don't be ripping down his stuff, because I don't appreciate that. He's been working hard to be doing anything. Most of y'all out there haven't been working for anything. That's just like a dog, an old dog that you're trying to learn to do tricks. Man, just leave that dog alone.
Hell yeah.
There are people in your district that are pulling down your signs?
Yes.
Why?
I guess I'm the biggest threat of them all. I mean, nobody has the media coverage that we have.
That's crazy.
And coming from a grassroots perspective, they're getting a real, actually true history lesson. This country was founded by not career politicians, but just like us, we're sitting here talking to each other. This is how it was started.
Yep.
And that's what they're afraid of.
Yeah. I want to move on to the more serious conversations that are a bit darker. Maybe I'm concerned about some of the stuff we might talk about, around a kid. So with all due respect, and really do appreciate DJ you coming in, and you guys are amazing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I do appreciate it. You guys, it's amazing. It's an honor to have you guys here.
Yeah, most definitely.
For everybody watching back at home, we were discussing this early, and we got stories of people trying to kill each other. We got some churches that burned down, and I was like, I think I don't know if I could have these conversations with a 13-year-old. maybe it's a little too dark, but it does sound like he's a smart young man, and he's well aware of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I mean, considering he's had 13 brain surgeries, you think that, how's he so quick on his feet? So
Yeah.
he's pretty quick. He's swift. His jokes is crucial.
Well, let's jump to this story. This is where it gets pretty dark. We've got this one from Fox News. No Kings protester steps up to the mic and calls for ICE agents to be shot and wiped out. Guys, I'll be honest. It's getting scary out there. Let me unmute this.
We gotta turn around the guns.
I got to be honest. I think we could get an issue on YouTube for playing this, but I think it has to be played.
We gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out.
That's
insane.
Guys, this is not Antifa. This is not some fringe far left.
Right now, a manhunt is going on in Paris.
I don't know what that's about. This is a run-of-the-mill liberal at a No Kings event saying, get a gun and shoot and kill DHS agents.
It speaks to what the run-of-the-mill liberal is now.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that there was a time where people would think only extremists will talk like that. Only people that are on the most radical left would talk like that. Only people that are well outside of acceptable discourse will talk like that. But now, I mean, you can't open any of the social media apps. You open Blue Sky, you open on X, on TikTok, on Instagram. You see people talking like that all the time now, all the time. And it's not just, it's not a one-off thing.
Yeah, it's Radio Rwanda. That's exactly what this is. Yeah. And it's just a feedback loop. No one's there to check it. No one's there to... Like, if this happened at a conservative rally, someone started spurring out like that, they would get shouted down so quickly, booted out of the place. They just tolerate it.
I was talking about this last week and, the week before, but guys, the escalation has been nearly exponential. To see we had this attack on the ICE facility where the Antifa guys are outside and they're throwing fireworks. When the ICE guys come outside to say, okay, we're gonna stop this, we know what they're doing, far leftists were hiding in the trees with a rifle and opened fire on the ICE agents. Yeah, that was scary.
And the left,
Charlie Kirk got assassinated after that, and we saw people celebrate. Whether you want to make an argument about who really killed Charlie Kirk, maybe you're a fan of Candace Owens and she's made some claims and found some evidence, whatever. Let's put that aside. The left celebrated, called for more. What's terrifying, guys, is did Benny Johnson, as an honest question, actually, did Benny Johnson put out a video about the death threat he received in the mail to his family? I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure. I watch a bit of Benny's stuff, not a whole lot. To be fair, I don't watch a lot of podcasts, but Benny probably more than most. I didn't see it. Maybe he did. Just want to make sure that's clear. But we found out about it largely because there was a DOJ press conference. That's when I found out about it. I do think it's fair to say, because I did an interview with Benny recently, we don't discuss all the threats that we're receiving and everything that's going on behind the scenes because we're told consistently by security not to do it because it could exacerbate things. I don't know that things could get worse. The level of threats, this story, and there's so much more to break down in these other stories because we got the teacher pointing to her neck. We've got we have footage of a run-of-the-mill liberal guy trying to murder a Trump supporter at his own home. It's like you said. It's was it
Radio Rwanda? Yeah.
Radio Rwanda. For those that don't know, and you probably know more, you could explain it. But the general idea is like every day it was the Tutsis, right? Mm-hmm. They were saying, "Oh, they're bad, they're evil, they need to be killed." Until one day people snapped and decided to start doing it.
Yeah. There's just no checks on it, no check on the rhetoric, and no. I mean that's just what happens. Is no one's there to say let's cool down the temperature. There's no one on the left that's tone policing, and then on the right it's the opposite. They're tone policing. People on the right are tone policing people to the right of them for like very mundane statements. It's ridiculous.
The left has their people saying tone down the volume. Like Destiny said, Trump has to back down, otherwise more conservatives should be killed, right?
Yeah.
To be fair, I do think that it is, at least if you're going to be, tell the whole story, people on the right have been saying things like prepare yourself accordingly. You should be out there training. You should be armed. And that's not some kind of call for aggressive violence. Mm-hmm. It's always, talking about defensive measures that they're taking. So I do think it's worth pointing out that, if the left actually starts engaging people, at some point the people will engage back. Like people on the right will, return the favor. Not that that's something we're calling for, not that it's something we want, but this is dangerous rhetoric that the left is engaging in, and they have not seen the response that they seem to be looking for, and I think that's a good thing.
And I'm just going to address all the Candace fans who thought that I was deriding Candace. I'm not. I'm saying she's put out a bunch of evidence. For the sake of this argument, let's not go into who we think did it, right? If the argument is it was Tyler Robinson, he's the alleged assassin, or anybody else, I'm saying let's put all that evidence aside for now and consider just that the left is celebrating it. That whatever you may find or discover about who actually killed Charlie, the principal celebration came from liberals, run-of-the-mill liberals. I was trying to hone in that argument. I think Candace done actually a pretty good job on uncovering a lot.
I don't know who killed Charlie, but I do know that there were gleeful demons on the internet celebrating this. I saw them in real life, saw them on the internet. My mother-in-law saw them walking down New York City streets, proclaiming it out loud as if that was an okay thing to do. And I feel like I've been experiencing this bloodlust for 5 years. Even before I had any public platform, people were wishing death on me for not getting a shot they wanted me to take, for doing this and that. Friends, former friends and family. Well, I guess former family too, only so at this point. But I remember 4 years ago on this show, I told you, I went to go look at a house when we were moving from New York to here. And the lady who was selling the house, within 5 minutes of meeting me, told me she didn't know who I was or anything. She said, I wish every Republican would drop dead. And she just felt so comkomfortable saying that to me. A total stranger, so like this bloodlust. It's been evolving, and now it's
Rwanda.
Accelerated. Yeah, for sure. It is for sure that.
Like, when I talk about the peace wall, we had Graham Linehan on Friday, how one side's pro-Palestine, one side's pro-Israel, and you're like, this makes no sense. It's literally just the other side is bad.
Yeah.
And that's where we've come to. The scary thing here is we didn't see over the so let's get a little bit into the No King stuff. There was riots. The corporate press will not tell you this. They're claiming and lying. Gavin Newsom said 7 million people, the biggest protest in U.S. history. It's just not true. It was like an Earth Day thing, right, in the 70s or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
20 million people, but I don't know if I believe these numbers anyway.
It's all fake.
But there's the estimates of the No Kings ranges from 650,000 to 7 million, which is pretty insane and basically means zero because what? No, for real, like, guys, I'm looking up the numbers, and I see some reports saying 650,000 estimated across the major cities, and then I see the Democrats saying 7 million. So we don't know. But what I can say is this. Riots broke out in Portland, in Chicago, I believe in also in California. And I think it was like Southern California somewhere. And then we see things like this. And this wasn't the only thing that we saw that was bad. I mean, there was a video, there's a video of a man dressed like Tyler Robinson, the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk. He dressed up, he bought the shirt, bought the hat, and they went outside. These people are not, guys, I've been to protests. I've covered them throughout the 2010s. It's at Occupy Wall Street, I was physically attacked by people in black clad. We call them black bloc leftists or black bloc anarchists. And the bulk of Occupy supported and defended me. They had security volunteers, and when they found out that I was being targeted by the far left, they said, "Don't worry, Tim, we're going to have guys watch out for you when you're live streaming." Even though they knew I had filmed far leftists deflating police tires, and I said, "I am going to film whatever happens. I don't care if it's for the cops or against. It doesn't matter. I film what happens." I had cops shake my hand and say, "I appreciate that you're showing what is." And I said to this one cop, it was Hipster Cop actually, he's a famous guy, maybe you guys know him. Big story back in the day, was Hipster Cop in New York. And I said, "Listen, sometimes your guys are out of line. Sometimes they're not. I'm just going to film whatever happens." He's like, yep, I get it. And the activists said the same thing. I get it. And the activists were like, "We'll get a couple guys to watch your back for you." That totally changed a few years later. To now it's like, if you're not with us, you're against us. And all of the people hold these deranged views. That's what's scary.
Yeah. I remember like when I lived in New York, I would run at the lot and we would film protest riots, these sorts of things. And I'm a complete non-entity and I would be separated from a lot and I would still get antagonized by Black Bloc. And by all accounts, I could have been like foreign. They don't know who I am. Like it didn't matter. It was the fact that you were documenting what was going on was the problem. And then this is why, because you just put a mic in front of their face and they're going to threaten to kill people. Like that's just full stop. That's what happens.
I mean, that's essentially like that's been at least the past, year. There were people that were surprised at some of the responses to the attacks on Trump over a year ago, right? Like that was, unfortunately, there was no turning down to the temperature. There were prominent Democrats that said that he faked it. Gavin Newsom made light of the situation. He had an AI picture where he's holding ketchup. He's in the similar pose to Trump and he's holding ketchup up. This is something that the left broadly is okay with. They have convinced themselves that not only Donald Trump, but the right more broadly is actually in some manner going to harm them.
We got so many of these. Let's jump to the story. This is from Fox News. Social media erupts over deranged teacher mocking Charlie Kirk's death in No King's viral video. This is, this stuff, guys, let me just play it. You can just, there's not much. We can put the audio on, but there's really nothing else there. It's just this fat woman in Chicago pointing to her neck saying bang over and over again. And apparently this is a school teacher.
Yeah.
This is a regular, run-of-the-mill urban liberal in Chicago celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, effectively threatening the people that are there. You were saying just a moment ago, it's like Radio Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we stop what's happening.
Yeah, well, and it's even worse because Radio Rwanda was the Hutu regime, and they were in power, so they were, obviously they were the ruling regime. In this case, they feel backed into a corner. That's why they're lashing out. That's why you're seeing political violence, because they feel like they're cut off from all avenues of power right now with Trump in. And yeah, that's a very bad recipe. You have a cornered animal effectively, and yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, that we say it like every week when we're discussing these sorts of things. But it's like you have to believe these people when they say these things and they usher or gesture these things. Like they mean it. They mean it.
I was talking about this a little bit in the intro. I think it feels like the beginning of a zombie apocalypse movie. Mm-hmm. They always start with a build-up to build the suspense for you. It's like Shaun of the Dead being one of the best and worst examples because it's comedy and it's one of the greatest movies ever, I might add. But it starts with, for those that aren't familiar with Shaun of the Dead, for the love of all that is holy, you must watch that movie. But it starts with Shaun. He's like what is he, like late 20s? And he works at a copy shop and he's like assistant manager. And he's not paying attention to what's going on around him. And he's on the bus and he sees someone collapse. Then he's like walking and people are coughing. Then he sees someone like down the street, and each scene you see a little bit more. But there are other movies that are Dawn of the Dead or whatever. It's like the people don't notice that one by one there's more sick people. Unlike the new zombie movies where it's like all of a sudden everyone's screaming and running full speed and they're spraying blood from their eyes like 28 days later. I'm watching all of these news stories where it's like first they're shooting up Tesla and I'm like, whoa, that's getting crazy. Then they're shooting and killing people and I'm like, whoa, now it's run-of-the-mill liberals. Like you are seeing the mind virus spread and the bloodlust spread like a virus. And the question I have for you guys is, what do you do? At what point do we say, okay, this is serious and we need to take some kind of action?
I think everyone should be training and prepping for anything that happened. The reality is so destabilized right now. I think this is history kind of repeating itself too. I feels like we're in the 60s again to some degree. Not that I lived through it, but the 60s there was a lot of political assassinations, a lot of unrest.
This is way different.
But this is way different, and it's for various reasons. But like social media, the internet has accelerated it. It's like a disease vector.
Well, I think you also have the left in the modern instance is completely okay with dehumanizing people broadly, but especially their opponents. I mean, we saw it with you and your son, following the State of the Union, where they just saw a joke, like a joke they could make. Like they don't take anything seriously. It's cool not to care about anything. It's cool to be ironic, and they don't actually really they don't assign any value to human life whatsoever. And this is just exhibit A right here.
Yeah.
Which you want to tell us about your district that you're running in?
District 18, Houston. That's one of the ones that they were called gerrymandering. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see the problem in them, redistricting the whole area. I mean, 18th district, it has over 500,000 people. God only gave you 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. How can you sit there and take on the concerns of even 10% of 500,000 people?
Yeah.
So it only makes sense to break it up. But this is the first time that it's actually going to be able to change hands, so as to say, from Democrat to Republican, because they've been holding it since, the Dems have been holding it since 73. So this is the first time, so they're losing their mind right now.
Well, Dems have had control of your district since 73?
1973.
It must be a paradise. You guys got flying cars yet?
Right. Yeah, right. You got all the Walgreens and CVS leaving, prostitution everywhere.
Wow.
Now they're finding bodies, all that. They've had 22 bodies that they found within the last 6 weeks.
What?
Yes.
How many?
22 bodies.
Holy.
And the mayor, I don't know what his problem is. Of course, he's Democrat. And he's swearing up and that it's not a serial killer. I said, dude, there's no way all of a sudden we don't have a serial killer.
Wow, man, that's dark.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. It's a lot of evil stuff happening in the world. And
it's scary because I was talking to my wife earlier about this. Because of this like mind virus, whatever you want to call it. I know that Elon calls it the woke mind virus and he's referring to wokeness, but there's something else. It's like a zombie virus that makes someone violent and dangerous that is spreading. And we were talking about why the left believes like Charlie Kirk is evil, and they escalate to this. And I said that phenomenon doesn't exist on the right.
Yeah.
It's don't get me wrong, it does to a small degree, but it's like I said, it's 80-20-20-80. 80% of people on the right know exactly why they dislike a leftist or a liberal guy. 20% maybe just think there's adrenochrome or whatever's going on. 80% of liberals have no idea why they hate the right. Maybe 20% do, but I don't trust those 20% because they're probably high priests on social media or Democrat politicians.
yeah.
So what the right is, the reason I bring this up in this context is they're actively trying to look at what's going on. They're actually trying to understand it. They're actually trying to work towards solving problems. Democrats seem to either absolutely just not know, not care, or both. And so we see this in every which way. All of our major cities, riots, crumbling, collapse because the Democrats that are in charge just don't care. Conservative-minded people, moderates, they're leaving. It was interesting. Just this past weekend, I was having a discussion with some people, and they asked like how big, how many people were in New York, and someone said, I think it's 9 million people. Someone said, I think it's 7. I looked it up, and I'm like, it's actually decreased by I think around 800,000 or so people in the past 5 years, only just now starting to turn around. Mm-hmm. But who left? It's more conservative-minded individuals. What happens is that in these districts, Democrats then get entrenched power, and you get what you're talking about: 22 bodies in a month and a half.
Yep. It's
Criminals getting released.
New York in the 70s, New York City in the 70s, totally bankrupt, asked the president for a bailout. He didn't do it the first time. He eventually did do it. But the mayor, I forget who the mayor was at the time, but he decided to raise taxes to like 15%. So 600,000 people, I think, left within that first few years after that. They were priced out, plus the violence. Berkowitz was happening in the city. Arson was all over the place. I mean, they lost that's why I keep seeing like history repeating itself. However, it is different because of where we're at with the internet accelerating all this hatred.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you're talking about, like where Democrats actually, it's an advantage for them to drive people out of the state, Republicans out of the states, because that's how, like, for example, the last gubernatorial election in New York between Zeldin and Hochul, Zeldin lost by like 350,000 people, roughly. Yeah. That's how many people left the state and moved to Florida alone. So his entire margin of victory was in Florida because COVID drove them out.
Don't forget,
that's why New Jersey actually is in play, is because a lot of Republicans have moved into New Jersey. So.
They shot up his house. Don't forget.
Yeah, they shot
up Zeldin's house.
I think his daughter was
out like hiding beneath and stuff.
I forgot about that totally.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the city of Houston is broke. Mm-hmm. So the mayor, the Democratic mayor, came in there and gave the firefighter $700 million. They only had $749 million on cash on hand. So the police down there, the population density is about the same as Chicago. Now, Chicago has roughly about 10,000 police officers. Houston has 5,238 officers with a population density of 2.23 per 1,000 residents. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to fend for yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what it's boiling down to.
Yeah.
It's not going to get no better. Well, it's not.
Yeah.
And the diseases you're talking about, I call them the triple C disease. You have confusion, which they're doing a lot of confusing people right now. Then they've got confusion creates chaos. They've got a lot of chaos coming. That's all that's happening. Then it comes casualties. Mm-hmm. That's the way it goes. Those 3 C's right there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And that's how you keep what? Control.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
that's every city right now in this country.
Yeah, it's a feature of the system, not a bug. Sorry, it's a feature of left-wing thought, not a bug. Because any beauty that does exist in our society in 2025, which is hard to find, does rest in right-wing thought, because right-wing thought is inherently hierarchical.
Yeah.
Where the left, it's a war on hierarchy, it's a war on beauty. So like the cities turning out like Houston, like San Francisco, like Chicago, that is a feature of left-wing thought that is natural. They hate beauty. They hate anything that resembles our divine nature in any sort of way. And a clean street with, mowed grass and no trash, that's actually horrifying to them.
You don't like fentanyl and brutalism?
Yeah. Not a big fan, but yeah, so no, they love the rats. They love garbage everywhere. Like the idea of living in a favela is like romantic to them. They literally posted on Twitter. They're like,
that's true.
They're like, this is like a nice aesthetic right here. Check this out. And it's like, it looks like a war zone, like a Call of Duty map. And they're like, this is so aesthetic. And
they'll argue because they can't think of anything more for themselves, or they don't desire anything more for themselves. No one else should have any desires beyond what they want.
I'm going to jump to this next story from the Daily Wire, and I'll give you the headline real quick. Secret Service finds tree stand with clear view of Trump's Palm Beach Air Force One exit. This incident underscores the importance of our layered security measures. I'm not going to mince words or waste time. This was, I believe, the most reasonable conclusion. An assassination attempt in the making. There's no hunting in Palm Beach. It is a dense urban area. There is no reason for a tree stand with a view for the airport. That makes no sense. And we had contemplated whether or not this should be the lead story for the show. And we decided to go with the liberal guy at the No Kings protest calling for people to take up guns and shoot ICE agents. Now, it may be there's 1,000,001 reasons why this is not an assassination plot on President Trump. But I believe the most reasonable assessment is, I'll read you the story. U.S. Secret Service discovered an elevated tree stand with a clear view of the area where Trump routinely disembarks Air Force One. Eric Trump responded to the news, praising Secret Service for finding it, saying, hunting stand for all the whitetail on Southern Boulevard, located directly across the street from Palm Beach International Airport, in the median of a major highway directly facing Air Force One stairs. They go on to say the elevated stand, would typically used for hunting, was discovered on Thursday according to a report published by Fox News Digital. It appeared to have been there for some time. It has not yet been linked to any potential suspects. According to Secret Service, Communications Anthony Guglielmi, there was no one in the vicinity when it was discovered. So the FBI is currently investigating the situation. Director Patel confirmed Sunday and is working with the Secret Service. Patel gave the outlet a statement saying, prior to the president's return to West Palm Beach, Secret Service discovered what appeared to be an elevated hunting stand within line of sight of Air Force One's landing zone. No individuals were located in the scene. The FBI has since taken the investigatory lead, flying in resources to collect all evidence for the scene. The discovery marks yet another potential threat against Trump, who already survived multiple attempts on his life. My understanding was, and I don't know if you guys heard this, that they were doing renovations on the airport, something to that effect. I don't know if this is true or not then, but I saw it on Twitter. Someone said that they had done renovations, and while they were doing it, Air Force One was landing in a different area. It appears while that was going on, someone set up this tree stand over in the past couple of months. Maybe the long game. What do you guys think? Do you think someone was just putting up a tree stand to stand in a tree facing the airport to see birds?
Well, it can't be a hunting stand because like around airports, the FAA sets up like no discharge zones, so you just can't fire like weapons around airports.
Yep.
And hunters, like there are some wacky and wild hunters out there, but generally they're pretty aware of like property lines and where you can shoot and what animals you cannot. They're not going to be setting up deer blinds like right by airports. Just not how the world
Any airport that has a runway that would accommodate a 747 has far too much noise and too much activity for deer to be interested in being anywhere around.
Yeah. Palm Beach is a dense urban populated area. Okay, Palm Beach is part of the greater, I guess we call it the greater Miami metro. When you're in Miami, when you drive north, it's one gigantic urban sprawl all the way up an hour drive to Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach, I think, is somewhere in between, or is it north? I don't know the exact area, but there's no hunting.
Yeah.
Gators, yeah, go to the Everglades. So it's actually this way. This is from Jennifer Jacobs on X. She's CBS News. She says, because of airport reconstruction of last year, the section wasn't being used for Air Force One arrivals or departures. After construction wrapped, Air Force One was due to use that part of the airport again. Agents searched the area as part of their advance work and discovered the hunting stand. It sounds like they started doing reconstruction. Air Force One landed in a different area. Someone then took that opportunity when security was light to set up a hunting stand so that when construction was over, they would have a clear line of sight to shoot the president.
If not actually for an assassination attempt, maybe a symbol.
I think there's different symbols to be used. They'd put up a you can argue that if they wanted to make it a direct threat, you'd do something else. I don't see. The only thing I see is this was an attempt. There's other ways to threaten that you want to do something to the president, I guess.
Yeah. I'm thinking about JFK and the Umbrella Man, who I think is involved. The Umbrella Man was there right by when he drove by, and he said he was there holding the umbrella in protest because it was umbrellas were held to protest JFK's father because something with Neville Chamberlain. It was very convoluted. It meant nothing. And I don't really believe the full official story on the Umbrella Man, but that was the story of why it was a symbol and why he became a suspect of the assassination. And he was called into Congress like 10 years later, and they inspected the umbrella because they thought it was the weapon.
Interesting.
And they laughed about the umbrella at the hearing, which is funny to me because this is, we're 10 years later. And he opened it. He opened the umbrella. They all kind of got scared. But a week or two earlier, the KGB agent actually assassinated someone in Europe with an umbrella. So they were.
It was like a gun in the umbrella.
It was a dart, I think, like a poison dart in the umbrella.
Penguin?
Yeah, exactly like the penguin. Exactly. Yeah.
Batman murder.
I'm going to throw this into the context. I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. Because there's other stories too. Don Lemon telling people to arm themselves against ICE. You guys saw the stories from last week. What is going on, dude? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to continue.
This is the evolution. It's Maxine Waters during COVID telling people to go out there and get in their faces.
Yeah.
It starts off light. It's Kamala and her people donating money for bailouts, for the arsonists during the Black Lives Matter riots. And this is the inevitable evolution of that open bloodlust.
Well, it's the bloodlust, and like I was saying earlier, now that they feel like they're severed from power, because, we were winning before the Kirk assassination. That's what a lot of people are missing. We were winning, and now they're out of power. They don't know how to get back into power. It looks like J.D. Vance might be a shoo-in if trends continue. Yeah, they're going to get desperate. They're going to lash out.
I made this point, or made that point on X the other day. Like Matt Taibbi had written something up about about more evidence coming out that FEMA was selecting who they were going to help depending on people had, whether they had a Trump whatever in their yard and what their political affiliation was. That's how they behave when they're in power. Right, the Lois Lerner in the IRS targets conservatives when they have power. The FBI targets parents that don't want their kids being taught gender ideology stuff when they're in power. When they're out of power, they just kill us.
Yeah.
The phenomenon that I've described in the past of how a riot functions, the avalanche of the riot. As the saying goes, Snowflake doesn't blame itself for the avalanche. There is no singular intent in a riot. When Tucker Carlson's home was attacked all those years ago, the far leftists showed up banging on the door. They actually cracked, I guess, the frame or something like that. I can't remember. I have been in many of these riots, and I explain how it happens, and it's simple. There's a group of people. One person at the front of the crowd sees a house or a building, and so he thinks, I'm going to look through the window. That's it. Nothing wrong with that, right? So he starts walking towards the building. Other people see him walking towards the building, and they think, I wonder what he's doing. I'm going to follow him. He then walks up, looks in the window. Someone else who followed him says, I wonder if the door's open. Just that. I don't want to go inside. And so they grab the handle and they give it a pull. It's open. Someone else sees him reaching for the door and they think, oh, he's opening the door. So when he touches on it and pulls it and sees it's open, they come in and they grab it too, thinking, oh, we're opening the door now. Someone else sees the door opening and goes, oh, we're going in the building now. Each individual person never had the intent of, let's go storm that building, break the glass and raid it. But every tiny little motion, just like a murmuration of birds, the riot eventually starts smashing and destroying things. Where are we now? Don Lemon said people need to take up guns because if I want to get the exact quote because this is very important. He didn't literally just say take up guns against ICE. He effectively said something to the effect. He said, if you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally, because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Now, he gets slammed immediately by many people on the right. But I will say this. I have no problem saying to everybody, you should legally purchase firearms, be prepared and be trained. I mean, even you were saying it, right? Here's the issue. Just like that murmuration phenomenon. Following this, you get this, was like a college guy or whatever, professor, I don't know if he's a professor or what is it, administrative position, saying, shoot him. Shoot him. And you know what he's probably thinking in his mind? I was just watching Don Lemon. That's what Don Lemon said. I'm just part of the crowd. That's the escalation, the avalanche that's happening. And it's getting worse. It's exponentially increasing. And I got to say, man, the things that I'm hearing on the ground, I don't think there is a higher degree of worry.
It's worth noting that if you're here illegally, you're not actually covered by the Second Amendment. You're not supposed to be able to buy firearms.
Yeah.
So
what he's saying is particularly egregious.
Well, and it's, I mean, he slips, it's a lie, really. He slips a lie in there. He's saying without due process. He made this point the whole time was like, no, that is your due process.
Yeah, and the
well, conservatives, I blame conservatives for this. These retards. I'm sorry to be so angry, but it pisses me off to no end when prominent conservatives go on X and say illegal immigrants don't get due process. That is a lie. That is a leftist, that is a liberal lie. The due process, the process for which illegal immigrants are due, is that DHS, either CBP or ICE, knock on a car window of a guy and they say, howdy, do you have a license? This is a routine stop. And when they go, no, are you a citizen? And they go, no. They say, okay, you have no identification. Are you here legally? You have no visa? Looks like you're going to have an expedited removal. That is due process. Liberals falsely claimed that these people are supposed to get a jury trial, which was never true. And then conservatives, following along these liberals, keep repeating their stupid lie, but gloating about it. So no, there has not been a single instance where there is a confirmed violation of due process. And I know the liberals are going to say, kill Mar-a-Brego Garcia. That is pending adjudication. There has not been a single circumstance where an individual was falsely detained as a citizen or otherwise, falsely deported, and remains there, case closed. Never happened. Kilmer Abrego Garcia had an order for removal. He had a withholding of removal to El Salvador. When he was sent to El Salvador, it was disputed and he was returned. He is now in the United States. This is pending adjudication. So you can argue that you believe his rights could be getting violated. The only issue is if the courts ultimately determine if the judges say they did the right thing, there's no violation there. So I'm not playing any stupid games. Let's jump to this next story, though. This story is probably the one that has me scared the most. It's a story from September 6th. This is a video of a run-of-the-mill liberal, not a political guy, aiming a handgun out of his sunroof at a Trump supporter's home in rural North Carolina and unloading on his house because he was trying to kill him. Why?
Insane.
For what reason? This man is an accountant. That's it. He's a married man. He's an accountant. He was driving through rural North Carolina, Nantahala Gorge. I'll pull up the map for this in a second. Wait till you see how in the middle of, this is in the middle of nowhere. He comes across a Trump sign on a property and pulls his car over, gets out of his vehicle, and begins tearing down a Trump 2024 banner, which belonged to an 87-year-old woman. Portly feller who lived there in this rural North Carolina area sees a man going onto his property and vandalizing it. So he grabs his rifle, which he has ready, and fires what he says is 2 warning shots into the air. I just want to stress, I see Phil shaking his head. Never do that. However, he wasn't charged for anything. I guess in the middle of nowhere, so they said, okay. This man, upon hearing the shots, goes back to his vehicle, grabs his gun, and unloads on the Trump supporter's home, nearly striking the man. This is an accountant from Atlanta. You know what scares me the most? Not hearing about Antifa. I've said it before. I'm not concerned about Antifa extremists. I'm not worried about some Antifa far leftist guy marching through the streets of Portland. I don't live in Portland. People who live there, it's a problem. I'll talk about it. I think it's bad. What scares me is when a run-of-the-mill liberal guy, a default lib, advocates for mass murder or tries it. And we saw in Chicago this guy at the university, I think he's a university guy or something. I don't know his exact job. Calling on people to take guns and kill ICE agents. We see people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, nurses, teachers, accountants, calling for more death of more personalities, including myself. And now we see some regular liberal guy. This could be anybody stopping and trying to kill a Trump supporter in the middle of nowhere. This is the point where it feels like the beginning of a zombie movie. You see the one incident and you think that's a one-off. It's not. Charlie Kirk's dead. They are escalating. We saw at the beginning of the year the shooting of the Tesla vehicles and facilities, but no one was there. No one was there, everyone said. It's like the Weather Underground, but nobody was there. Someone could have been there. We then see the shooting, the terror attacks against ICE, multiple. There were 3 targeting ICE facilities. We then get 5 vehicle attacks in the span of, I think, 2 months. In Chicago, there are 4. In Florida, there was 1. 2 of the incidents, one in Florida, one in Chicago, illegal immigrants tried using their vehicles as weapons against individual officers who then shot the illegal aliens. In Chicago, this agent was dragged by the vehicle, reached in, and then shot the illegal alien. In the other incidents in Chicago, they were rammed. One incident is believed to be a far-left extremist who rammed DHS agents. They were surrounded by leftists. They got out and shot back at the vehicle, shooting 5 times and striking the female driver. Another instance was a vehicle rammed the rear of a DHS vehicle before speeding off. And then we had the incident in Chicago where 2 illegal aliens rammed CBP officers who gave chase, pulled a pit maneuver. The men then got out of the vehicle and fled, and locals in the area, probably many illegal, surrounded DHS agents, obstructing their enforcement action, then started throwing rocks, eggs, and garbage and bottles at them. So they unleashed tear gas. Court said they can't use tear gas anymore, not without proper warning to the crowds. So that means they'll be getting pelted, and they have to put out, okay, if you keep pelting us. I talked about it a bit earlier. Security can only protect you from what they know. So when you have any normal circumstance in a country, and we have security, when we were invited, I'm going to say something that people are going to get mad at me for. I'm done, guys. I try to be diplomatic, but this needs to be said. The attempt on the Charlie Kirk Memorial was 100%. It's a fact. Nobody wanted to say it. I was asked not to say it. I'm sick of this because I'm being targeted. My family's being targeted, and people are saying, don't tell people this stuff's happening. I'm sick of it. Okay, you want to know the truth? When we were doing our security assessment, they said there is an active plot to strike the Charlie Kirk Memorial. 100%. We don't know if it'll happen, but they're trying to do it. We're tracking active intelligence, and I'm like, we can't go to that. I just had a kid. I have a wife. What do we have to? How do? And I guess the concern over the security at the event was, if we'll take the security very seriously. We'll secure the perimeter. They got the best security imaginable. The president is going to be there. It won't happen. And they were correct. So I'm not trying to disparage them. I want to make sure. I say this with the utmost respect. In the face of our private security assessment and law enforcement assessment, they were able to stop what was believed to be a guaranteed active plot against the Kirk Memorial. That's what our security team said. That's what I was told by, I'll just say, inside sources. Nobody wanted to say it because they didn't want the terrorists to win. If we tell people there's an active plot against us, people won't show up. And I knew because I have we have private security we spend a lot of money on. And so we were like, we can't go to this. What were the parameters of securing me? And it's 2 agents on a plane flying with you. They will escort you from the plane to the exit of the terminal where there will be 2 additional security agents, officers, whatever you want to call them, who will scuttle you into an armored vehicle, which will bring you to the hotel. We'll then watch outside your suite 24/7. And I said, this is insane. And they said, and we believe active intelligence suggests there is a plot to strike the Charlie Kirk Memorial. It wasn't a question of, we're not entirely sure, but it's highly probable. No, it was like, oh no, we have intelligence suggesting there's a plot right now. And I said, okay, we're not going. That was what we were dealing with. And I'm sorry if people are upset that I'm saying this stuff, but I keep hearing from so many conservatives, stop talking about it. And I talked to one of our high-tier security guys. He was I don't want to say too much about his experience, but let me just say the best of the best in the military, like top of the top. And he said, you guys need to start talking about this. People do not understand what's going on in this country. And I said, they keep telling us, and they as in other conservatives and security, they're like, if you talk about it, you'll make it worse. And I'm like, I don't know that it can get worse. When I have to be calling the FBI and being like, this is what they're threatening to kill us. And I'm told, don't. I'm going to say it. I'm going to tell it. I'm done playing this game. And you know what? People are going to get really mad at me. We had at least one threat so far from a person who said he was going to take a fully automatic weapon and unload it on our facility. And it was deemed credible. And that's just one. And I'm told, do not say that. And I'm just sick of it. Betty Johnson knows this all too well, and the DOJ caught the guy who sent a letter threatening to murder his family. I believe his home was set on fire?
I think so.
The left goes out for their No Kings protest to their glorified 7 million, and no one is trying to kill them. And I am told to shut my mouth as they're trying to kill me and my family. And then I'm gonna avoid swearing, these trolls that dare to say we are being pussies for not going into the fray where we are being told by expensive security that there are people who are trying to kill us actively and they're tracking the intel. That's what the left is doing in this country. I don't know who else talks about it. I'm not going to throw anyone else's names out there. But I'll just say this. Your favorite high-profile conservative personalities have 24/7 armed guards, and some of them plain clothes, hiding because of the threats the left is actively posing. It's not a game. It's not a joke. And now I see this video and I'm like, guys, it is happening. Okay? When my security guys go, we have active, credible threats. We need to talk to the FBI. This is serious. The FBI comes back to us and says, this is legit. And we're like, oh my God. and we're told to act like everything's okay. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about the things that have been, that anything that's happened here, because you don't want to scare people. You don't want to give people ideas. And I'm like, it's not getting any worse. This is a run-of-the-mill accountant in Atlanta who took it upon himself to try and murder a random Trump supporter. It's Radio Rwanda, like Tate was saying. And we know Ben Shapiro has talked well about the threats for a long time, and I'm glad he has. But I got to be honest, the Daily Wire crew is not telling you everything about what's going on because they're trying to avoid creating security risks by talking about it. And that's what they keep telling us. And the perception then amongst the public is it's not really that bad. Let me tell you, it is worse than I've ever seen. And the private conversations I've heard from run-of-the-mill default libs is so terrifying and shocking. I don't know how we keep doing this. Fact. Anyway, I'm done ranting. Sorry, guys.
You know, excuse me. I had something I was going to say, but I slipped out.
No, I mean, I will say, like, there's this kind of stuff needs to be shown. I mean, this is what we saw with the arena situation, the Ukrainian woman that was stabbed on the train in Charlotte. It was actually like, no, look at this. You should see this. This is what they're doing to us, and we're not going to get out of this until people are fully aware of what this looks like. Because there's this tendency among sort of conservative media to just kind of like have these vague descriptions of what's going on, but it's like when you're actually confronted with it in real time in 4K, you actually see what's going on. That does something to your soul, and you should want to never feel like that ever again. Yeah. You should never want to feel like you did when you saw your phone, you saw the alert that Charlie Kirk was shot, and that feeling that you had, that all of us had. We should never have to feel that again.
There are a lot of people who say they won't watch the video, they refuse. And my response is any major network like CNN or MSNBC, when they want to talk about Charlie Kirk, they should be required to show people what their ideology has done. Because I think anybody who saw that video got some kind of PTSD, some kind of trauma from watching that catastrophic murder. Yep. What I'll say is watching this video of this random accountant doing this, and it's from September 6th, it's from before Charlie was killed. What has me more concerned than anything, like I said, when I hear there are far left extremists that are planning assassinations, that are threatening it, my security team can assess that, we know. What you can't track for is when a random guy has become so psychotic, he tries to kill a random person. Mm-hmm. So what would happen if I was walking down the street, even with a bodyguard, and that guy who's armed saw me? Mm-hmm. We can't track those kinds of threats. Yep. So again, a year ago, 2 years ago, we had security, we had concerns, but it was trackable. We knew who was saying it, we knew why they were saying it, we knew where they were saying it from. We had swatting incidents, we generally believe we knew where it was coming from. I guess the Chinese SIM card farms were how they were pulling it off undetected. And our security team was like, we're good, we get it. Now we're entering a new world where a random accountant decides to try and murder a Trump supporter. No fear of prison, none. Yep. And I partly believe the Mangione effect is a reason why. Mm-hmm. Because if he killed that Trump supporter, you know the left would be cheering for him. Oh, yeah. They'd be saying, well, one less maggot. Yeah. So how am I supposed to go out with my family, even with bodyguards? I can't go into a public area when we're seeing this degree of lunacy. Now, I want to stress, I don't think we're at that point yet. I go to restaurants, I eat food, I do normal stuff too. And I get recognized quite a bit. But even with security, this is the door being opened. We have just entered this space where we are learning about random default libs who are so enraged by Radio Rwanda America that they would try to kill a random guy they'd never met before. Don Lemon saying buy guns, the guy in Chicago saying kill ICE. The door is open. We are in this field.
It's worth noting, like the revolution that founded the U.S., there was only like 3% of the people that were involved in that.
So the argument is, this may not be correct, but it may be apocryphal, that only 3% fought, which is it is estimated that roughly greater than a third of the colonies supported revolution. Only 3% were actually fighting-age males who engaged in conflict. I think the important thing people need to understand about all of this stuff is that revolutions are not. It's not a movie where every city and every neighborhood and every person is fighting. Yep. It's not the scene from Kingsman where they're in the church and everyone's just in a melee. It's quite literally, you'll be in your suburb and you'll notice nothing. And you'll turn the TV on and there'll be a strange man saying, I'm the president now. And you're like, I don't know what that means.
I mean, in this case, right? Like, I think we've all talked about, what type of situation is likely or is most likely to arise. And it would be a lot of just violence between citizens. A civil war in the United States isn't, armies that are geared up and wearing the same outfits or different outfits and meeting on the field of battle. It's finding your cousin in a landfill with his hands swollen like Mickey Mouse gloves because they're tied together with piano wire and a bunch of drill holes in his thighs.
I think one thing that Civil War film got right was just how you didn't know what was going to happen when you went somewhere. The scene where they go to the gas station, there's people strung up.
Yep.
Or when they meet, what's the guy named Jesse Plemons? Is that the actor?
I didn't see it.
What kind of Americans?
What kind of American are you? And he's just killing people that, what was he killing? Brown people? Like non-white people?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Something like that.
Some people like anyone that was some kind of
foreigner.
Immigrant, yeah.
Yeah, he was killing immigrants or something like that.
Because he killed Asian.
I think it's a cringe choice because it's a little on the nose for the left. But what people don't understand about social order breakdown is that there's a group of dudes and they're in a rural area like this. I got to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if you go to this area, which is again, it's they got the name of the town. It's a rural area. It's Nantahala Gorge. I won't be surprised if this guy called his buddies and said, "Guys, we can't let something like that happen." So, text group chat. Something happens, give us a ring. This is how you start getting factions forming. One day you're driving down the road and there'll be two guys and they're going to have their guns down and they're going to wave to you and be like, howdy, what can I do you for? You're coming into our town, just trying to figure out everything's safe. And then I'm just driving through, and they say, okay, well, stay out of trouble. Then this crazy crackpot liberal pulls up, sees him and starts screaming at him. And then they're like, leave now. You start seeing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think South Africa is a great example of what America potentially looked like in 50 years, because you saw in South Africa 4 years ago, they had riots across the country, and the police were just not able to put a lid on it whatsoever because it's just total incompetence at every level over there. So citizens would just set up roadblocks outside of their towns and their neighborhoods, and anyone coming in or out, they would just ask a few questions, typically on ideology, and they would know pretty quickly if this person's here to cause trouble. And then in this instance, this is what's so terrifying about it is, you can't really hide from this once it goes kinetic. I mean, Luigi Mangione took him out on 54th Street in Manhattan. That's like the middle of the world, quite frankly. And then this happens in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina. It doesn't matter where you are in the country.
This is why I say it is the more scarier of moments. Finding a platform pointed at Trump's position on where Air Force One lands is worrisome. Someone shooting at Trump, terrifying. It's the scariest thing? Right here, this is Nantahala National Forest. This is rural North Carolina. When you start seeing liberals going into the middle of nowhere and trying to kill a random Trump supporter, and you know what the thing is? He had a camera.
And wasn't he
That's how we know.
160 miles from his home?
Yep.
Crazy.
160 miles from where he lived, random default lib from Atlanta was driving through a rural area, and something happened where he saw a Trump sign and said, I'm tearing that down. And then when the guy who lived there, again, don't fire shots in the air. That's not a real thing. That's insane. But he lives there and he sees this guy vandalizing his property. So all he did was he fired 2 shots from his gun in the air. So this guy says, okay, goes and gets his gun and tries to murder him. Understand, and I'm sure the liberals are going to be like, whoa, but he shot a gun. Whoa, whoa. He went on someone else's property and vandalized it and walked away without a care in the world, and then decided he could have just left. But no, he was going to try and murder this Trump supporter who lived in this house in the middle of nowhere. That's insane to me. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a terrible idea to shoot in the air. Like that's not
a real thing. Don't do that.
Not how you employ a gun. And I'm not sure what the laws in North Carolina are, so I'm not sure if that guy was within his right to defend his property. But it is pretty telling where, I'm just, random guy from Atlanta is just driving through and he takes it upon himself to say, I'm going to tear this guy's property down in the middle of nowhere. That might be why he thought it was he would get away with it. Oh, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
You know, no one's gonna see. He won't see me do this, and I'm gonna just be mad and blah blah.
Maybe
blah.
he drove there to kill a Trump supporter, thinking in the middle of nowhere no one would find it. So take a look at this Google Earth, right? This is Nantahala Gorge. I'm going to zoom way out and zoom way in. It is middle of nowhere. No disrespect to people who live there. I'm saying it is as rural can be with very few homes. And this is where this liberal guy drives up and decided to try and murder a Trump supporter.
You never watched Deliverance?
He doesn't have proper fears and concerns.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. There's no hiding from it. There's nowhere you can go. You just have to confront these issues. It's reality. It's like, yeah, I think oftentimes people are like, oh, like Tim was saying earlier, oh, that's reserved to Portland, that's reserved to Brooklyn, or like high crime is reserved to Memphis or Chicago. It's like, dude, it is everywhere now. The country is completely rotted to the core. Like, just walk around a Walmart, anywhere, go wherever you live, just go to a Walmart near you, and it's just rot and decay and just gross. And it's like, this country, there's something just sick about it. There's something sick into the soul of America.
We know political violence is on the rise, clearly. But have you also noticed, like, just rage in general is on the rise?
Yeah,
like, on the road, everyone's so angry, so
Airplanes.
quick to... It's insane. Yeah, it's the phone, but people driving. I mean,
people driving,
craziness.
And like, just the aesthetic choices of people's, like, they've just given up. Like, it's like a joke, kind of. Like, you go to an airport, it looks like a slumber party now. But it's like, at every level, there's just like a sickness to the American soul where people have just given up. They have nothing to lose. They don't want to leave anything behind. They just want to, like, exist and get out of here. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's in the worst case, it manifests in violence, but in the best case, it's just your community just dies because nobody gives a rip about anything, and it's just depressing. I'm just tired of seeing it.
But they're doing well on Instagram.
Yeah, at least TikToks are good.
Yeah.
TikToks have been good recently, so I mean, there's upside, I suppose. But no, it's true. It's just a civilizational rot, and people like roll their eyes at this, but I'm like, telling you, just go to a Walmart. The people there, they're nuking their own value with how they present themselves. It's like a total disaster, and it's a sickness. It's nihilism, whatever you want to call it. We need something to believe in again, and I do think Christianity is obviously an anecdote, but just even at the practical level, like, people just need tangible things that ground them to this earth that are just not there, and instead all they do is just mar themselves up.
And parents today are outsourcing so much education and parenting to technology, like iPads and all that stuff constantly.
Let's jump to this next story from the Post Millennial. 2 churches intentionally set on fire in North Carolina. The fires were spotted by residents before the flames were able to do that much damage. There were 2 churches intentionally set on fire in North Carolina, authorities have said. The fires reportedly took place over the weekend in Cleveland County, North Carolina. Fortunately, the fires were spotted by residents before the flames were able to do that much damage. Per the sheriff's office, the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office said that arson is the cause and an investigation is underway. Local fire departments, as well as the sheriff's office, responded to the scene to put out the fires. On the night of October 17th, between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., intentional fires were set at 2 different churches on the in the Kesar, North Carolina area. Cleveland County Sheriff's Office deputies responded alongside local fire department personnel and Cleveland County Fire Marshal's office. The churches affected, Tabernacle Baptist Church on Corinth Church Road and Calvary's Cross Baptist Church and Mount Zion Church Road, were both damaged by suspected arson. Fortunately, both fires were spotted. Now, hopefully, and this is crazy to say, but considering there's a fear of political violence, we would be much better off if it turns out this was personally motivated. And I'm not to make light of the fact that these fires were someone tried to burn them down. But we have seen over the past several years intentional arson attacks against churches. And nobody believes that Notre Dame was set on fire accidentally. What do they argue it was? Power tools or something?
Yeah.
Cigarette or something, I thought.
I think they're saying they were using like an angle grinder and a spark hit or something. Like, it was like a...
Definitely arson.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the official reason, no one believes it was an accident.
Right.
Because we have seen way too many churches get set on fire. And so I want to make sure I try and be as calm about this. This may just be a local issue. Someone was mad with the church over a personal issue. Or it could be that, like the beginning of a zombie movie, we are seeing more and more of these stories which shock and are indicative of a singular direction this country is going.
Well, if we're to go off precedent, what we saw in Canada, that was politically motivated. There were politicians slandering these locals, saying, oh, there is these mass, they said like indigenous graves that there was no evidence for, there was no proof for, it's just like speculation. And people just started burning Catholic churches down. And I think they burned a lot, like variety of denominations, but I think it was particularly the Catholic Church was blamed. And that it just set the table for political violence. And no Canadian politician attempted to sort of lower the temperature in any sort of way. And the same thing in America, where the one institution really that's still really sturdy in the United States in a lot of ways is the church. And specifically on this, I think these are probably Southern Baptist churches. And what does the church do to people? They say, no, don't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's destructive to you. That's corrosive to your soul. But if you're like this liberated individual who just believes that like everything is here to serve me, the church is enemy number one, because the church is trying to refine you and shape you into a better person. And it's like, I don't want to be a better person. I want to be able to destroy myself in peace. And so these sorts of things happen. It's going to happen more and more. Christianity would be target number one for these leftists, and we've seen it over and over again. Charlie Kirk's a great example.
And that would be is. I mean,
it's a current active threat. I mean, again, I don't want to speculate what maybe this was an internal issue, but if we're to go off of what we've seen so far and what we saw in Canada, I think you can kind of put two and two together here.
I think that it has been since the whole bake the cake issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like they targeted that specific baker because they were looking to attack a Christian. They were looking to make
an example out of
Supreme Court to force them to do something. And it's not like there was no other baker they could have gone to. This is something that we talked about a bunch. They could have gone to any other baker in town. There were plenty of places that would do it. And he said that he would he would sell them a cake. He just wouldn't do the art. They were looking to pick a fight. And it's been that way since. Like that's been the whole the leftist kind of mental state is the enemy of everything I want is Christianity, even though the foundation of this country, everything that they build their desires on and everything that they rely on, like freedom of speech, all of these ideas, they all come in some way from a Christian foundation.
Right. Well, and the cake baking thing set the precedent as far as like we're willing to enforce this at the end of the barrel of a gun, because obviously if these bakers didn't comply, eventually you would have had to use the police to come in. And so it's like, because the left was in charge obviously at the time, and so it's like, yeah, they're willing to go there. That set the precedent, and it's just going to ramp up more and more and more.
Have you noticed any like decline in religion or attacks on Christianity in Houston?
No, it's not to where it's really noticeable.
Well, that's good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because in New York City, that's where I grew. I grew up out just outside of New York City, but lived there for a while. Yeah. There's churches there, and a lot of them have been captured by leftist ideology.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So it's curious when I'm traveling the country to see.
There's a lot of churches in Houston that's left.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. So, as a matter of fact, a few of them are now voting polls.
Oh.
Yeah. Ain't that ironic?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's either they capitulate your church and put a pride flag up as like a victory lap, or they just burn it down. Those are your two options.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, up in West Virginia,
I'd rather
we got a lot of those.
Down, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of churches you were telling me about, Shane, that have the pride flags all over them.
All over. I was shocked when I came to West Virginia. There's liberal pockets around here, but very red state. But yeah, you'll find it giant. Not just pride flags, like the newfangled version, with all those things.
It's pretty crazy because the Pride Progress flag is a symbol of a new religion, a non-theistic religion.
Yeah.
And it's taken over your churches.
Yeah. There's a it's like a newspaper organization they're called Protestia, and they like document a lot of this leftist activism, specifically in Protestant churches. And yeah, you just see like video after video of a pastor, I would say pastor in quotation, getting up and just saying like, well, I disagree with this portion of the Bible, but I'm going to say it anyway, but here's a trigger warning. And then they just read like a verse out of like 1 Corinthians. Because they're even admitting from their fake pulpit, they're even admitting that like, actually, I don't even really believe in the Bible.
Heretics.
Yeah, this is below like the political agenda that I have. And it's like, so it's not even like Tim said, something else has replaced it, and they're just using this church as like a husk to gather in.
Exactly.
Well, that's the left does with everything, right? Like they infiltrate things and then they wear it like a skin suit.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what it is. And to Tim's point, like if they can't infiltrate it and wear it like a skin suit and make believe that it's always been this thing the way that they see it and tell you you're wrong for saying, no, I remember when it was different and when we had standards or what have you, then they just want to burn it down.
Yeah.
if they are completely comfortable with destruction, because if they can't have it, then they want to destroy it. And honestly, that is what they would do to the United States if they could. You know,
It is.
They are.
they're doing.
Like the cities have collapsed. We were talking about the revolution. It reminded me of like a Benedict Arnold, right? And when he took over West Point, he had already become a traitor. Obviously, no one knew yet. He purposefully collapsed West Point, which is imperative to the war because the bend in the river there, right? And so he just over time destroyed it, turned into a pig pen. Like it was disgusting.
What was he doing?
Just making it lawlessness, not checking up on the soldiers, making it literally gross, like letting. You can look up letters of soldiers that'd be like, he's letting the pigs run loose. It's insane.
And he was doing intentionally to weaken West Point
So the British could take it.
Wow.
You know, and like they were dragging the chain across the river. But when we talk about traitors who are like mayors and governors of these blue states and cities, it reminds me of Benedict Arnold purposely letting the cities collapse for their ideology.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, because it's not like they want to take it over to manage it better in their heads. They want to take it over so they can like destroy it, but on their terms. I mean, like, I think we're talking churches, like the Episcopal Church is a great example. It's like something like 32 presidents are Episcopalians. And it's like the most left-wing institution in the United States. Not even just church, like institution. And it's because they saw that as like the number one sort of glue for the elite in the United States. So they're like, we have to take that first. And then that's why they have Harvard. That's why they have Yale. Because these are like the institutions that resemble the American elite in the purest form. And that's why they have to take those first, because they have, like, if they can control the elite, then everything else is kind of like downstream from that. But just look up Episcopal on Google Maps. It's going to pull up your nearest Episcopal church, and it's going to look like a Chapel Roan concert in there. Like, it's ridiculous. It's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And I don't know how we actually pull back from this, aside from like just like mass roundups. But you can't round up people just for being leftist or being on the left. They have to take action.
Well, like at the tangible level, I mean, obviously there's government action, but even at the lower, like I think Elon Musk actually demonstrated a really excellent way of doing this, because with a lot of things you actually can't develop like a counter institution, unfortunately. Like the institution that exists, like Twitter, it's kind of really hard to move out of the way. So you just take it back. I mean, he used capital to do it. But even like we're discussing these churches, it's like you can just bring you and a squad and roll up and just like vote out the clergy. Like that's a thing. There's mechanisms in place where you can do these things. So I think Elon Musk actually set a great precedent of like, no, sometimes you just have to retake the institution. You can't build like a counter institution, unfortunately. In a lot of cases you can, like media is a great example, but there's some things that are just there that are just like a rock. And it's like, no, you actually have to go through it. Like you have to take it back. And
which is the reason why the left is so comfortable with destroying it.
Right.
If they don't have it, if they don't have control, then they would rather see it destroyed than you have that kind of influence and power. Because they don't see institutions, or they don't see basically anything as anything other than a means to power. Everything is a way to exercise power. Everything is a way to force their worldview onto the population.
Yep.
So
the left act like spoiled children. If their mentality is, if I can't have it, you can't either. So it's like something like a murder suicide in a way.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's jump to this story. We got this from Reuters. Voting Rights Act faces a near-death experience at the U.S. Supreme Court. So the Voting Rights Act, a landmark law barring discrimination in voting, was a product of the U.S. Civil Rights era sought by Nobel Peace Prize recipient Martin Luther King, passed by Congress and signed by Democratic President Lyndon Johnson. 6 decades later, it faces the greatest threat, with the Supreme Court, which is a 6-3 conservative majority, looking poised to hollow out one key section. The court is expected to rule in the coming months in the case, argued on Wednesday, concerning a map delineating U.S. House of Representatives district in Louisiana. The conservative justices signaled they could undercut the law's Section 2, which bars voting maps that would result in diluting the voting power of minorities, even without direct proof of racist intent. So to put it simply, conservatives have challenged this law, saying you should not be allowed to create congressional districts based on race. The law itself says you have to. Now, the intent was to stop congressional districts from gerrymandering out minorities voting. Instead, what it ended up creating is congressional districts entrenched only by minority voting. With this, there is now an expectation that Democrats will not be able to take back the House, which is historically, let's just say, anomalous. Typically, the opposition party takes the House back in the midterms. But if the Supreme Court rules the Voting Rights Act down and allows these states to redistrict, it basically becomes completely Republican. And the expectation is 20 seats lost by Democrats.
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious because it's like they have no problem diluting like white areas. Like if you look at like the congressional map of Illinois, it'll capture some of the suburbs and then snake into town and just scoop up a few like black neighborhoods. And then so it's like they have no problem doing it to like white people. They do it all the time. But it's like, no, but when it comes to like minorities, they have to have their own districts. It's like enshrined in the like founding principles of our country. And it's like, what are you talking about?
And this was basically one of Charlie Kirk's criticisms with the Civil Rights Act and the civil rights in general was that the intent was good. We wanted to stop discrimination, but we created quotas, such as with the Voting Rights Act, instead of saying, we want to make sure it's fair, the people who live here are not being diluted. What ended up happening was they created congressional districts specifically based on race.
Yeah. Well, they were attempting to enshrine equality into the books of law, but they actually enshrined equity into the books of law, which was like the longstanding goal of leftists.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of this isn't equality. This is equity. This is basically, it's DEI fundamentally. Like that's exactly what it is. And so now on the view after the Civil Rights Act, like in the view of the government, equity is now a priority. And it's going to be at the expense of the majority group, which is, white Americans.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, look, the idea of equity for equity's sake is actually like it's abhorrent to the Constitution. It is abhorrent to all of the laws that have been passed up until the Civil Rights Act. The idea that they have to make sure that there is representation or equal representation based on race, that's totally ridiculous. It's totally abhorrent to the idea that we're a country based on merit, and that's something that one of the things that Donald Trump was elected ostensibly to bring back was the idea that we look for the best candidate, and it shouldn't be a situation where they make changes to the districts based on race or anything like that. And I think that's what the Supreme Court is going to find. That's why you're seeing the think pieces that you're seeing right now. The Supreme Court's very likely going to say, yeah, this actually violates the.
What happens if Republicans win? Breaking the historical trend.
Well, I mean, I imagine there will be more rioting, more protests, more people saying, oh, it's a terrible thing that we're losing all of this stuff, because that's what the left does when they lose something. They flip out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a matter of what does it prevent, and I think it prevents the boot from going back on Trump's neck with lawfare. I mean, that's ultimately, like, the priority for this midterms is, like, keeping the House. It's not like we're really going to gain much more than we already have. It's more of a matter of just keeping Democrats away from these committees where they can just harass Trump with.
Do you think the government will reopen by then?
Dude, we're on track for the longest shutdown in history, which is crazy. Like some people that I was speaking to that are in the know are like, yeah, I'm planning trips out towards Thanksgiving.
I've got, obviously we here at Timcast know many, many people who work in government, and I'm hearing Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing, and I'm like, I almost don't. I don't know if I believe that. Come on, it's already the longest in history. But the argument is that Democrats have no reason to vote to reopen the government.
Yeah.
Why would they?
The Republicans don't either. We got the military paid. That was the priority. And since
Trump wants to fire people.
Yeah, and since we control the budgeting, like we can take chunks out of their stuff first, like snaps on the chopping block, these sorts of things, and then we can move elsewhere. But it's like, yeah, the Republicans certainly don't really have too much motivation now that the military has been paid to come to the negotiating table. And then also, like, this is just how shutdowns work, is the party that's asking for something is always blamed for it. No matter what. Like the last shutdown, it was over border wall funding, and even like a lot of Republicans were like, all right, dude, just like let's get a deal done. So like likewise, there's a lot of Democrats now that are like, okay, uncle, like let's just get this, let's get out of it. But it's funny because it's like, this is what the fifth story we have. And like usually a shutdown is like a really big deal. Like, you know, as everyone's talking about it. Like I was setting up for the show today for the morning show, and I was like, do I even like talk about the shutdown? Like, does anyone really even like care? I don't even think people in the government care.
Well, the big part of the reason why is because the media will make it a big deal if it can be blamed on Republicans, can be believably blamed on Republicans. If not, the media just doesn't need to talk about it, and then most people will go about their days, and most people won't really notice.
Yeah, well, I think it's also just like the stories that have been like in the zeitgeist for the last few months have just been so insane that it's like talking about a shutdown really feels like coming back down to earth in a lot of ways. and because there is a lot of press that actually are talking about this quite extensively, but it's just like there's not really a appetite for it among, because it's like, hey, we just saw like Charlie Kirk get shot, like a lot of different things going on, and then we're gonna like come back and talk about like discretionary spending. It's just like
It used to be a
non-starter.
panic in the news.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, it's going to shut down. I don't miss it. Do you?
No, not really. Yeah, like unfortunately, I've started to listen to like more like NPR and stuff just to like see what they're talking about. And yeah, when they're discussing the shutdown, it's just like, yeah, like you know, Speaker Johnson had this to say, and I was like, it's whatever. It's day 20. We'll see what happens. And it's I remember from the first one, they were like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna die if we don't reopen tomorrow.
Buy our totes.
I think the crazy thing, because I'll be driving in my Tesla and it's got NPR on it, and I'll turn it on, like, hey, let's listen to the news. The lies are insane.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, I can't believe how often they lie in shocking fashion. It's intentional. I cannot believe that a journalist with access to Google doesn't know some of these things.
They talk like that so they can hide the lies. Like they developed a certain NPR voice. It's like it hypnotizes the audience.
It's the soy millennial accent.
Poison.
Michael Malice always says, try explaining to someone the weatherman is lying to them. And that's how people feel when it comes to the news. They're like, this thing happened. They go, it happened.
Not wrong, but lying to them intentionally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is
Look at when Graham Linehan was here, and he was, we were talking about, for those that don't know, he made, was it the IT Crowd and Father Ted? And we played this clip. It's really funny where Father Ted's going to talk to some Chinese guys, and there's a sticker stuck to the window. And when the Chinese guys are walking up, they're like, this guy's like, why are we talking to this fascist? And he goes, he's not a fascist. Father Ted leans up to the window, and he starts waving like this. From the other side of the window, they see him with the little square over his nose, and he's throwing his arm up. And then the one guy turns around. Then Father Ted goes, why are they leaving? They're leaving right now. They haven't even come here. And then through the window, he's, looking like Hitler. The funny thing is, so we all laugh. And I said, it's very similar to what Count Dankula did when he had his pug doing the salute. And then Graham said that he piled on and attacked Dankula over it because he genuinely believed that Dankula was like some white supremacist guy. And so he's like, and then I said, I asked him, like, when did you realize? And like, when did you change? And he goes, when I eventually figured out that every journalist was lying to me. It's like, yeah, every single one.
incredible.
That's how insane it is. What's really sad, Dankula was probably inspired by Father Ted when he made that joke. He was just, it's like, here's a guy who probably watched your show, thought it was really funny, and wanted to be like you, or was emulating your jokes.
Wow.
And you thought he was an actual Nazi.
Yeah.
That's what they do with that's what the media lies do.
Mm-hmm.
So
rest in peace, Buddha, the dog. By the way, he passed recently.
Yeah.
But no, it's true.
Did he?
Yeah. Unfortunately, but yeah, it's just gonna get people killed. Ultimately, like it used to be like, oh, they're lying. This is a horrible thing. They're misrepresenting me, and it's hurting my credibility. But like a lot of people, it's just like this frustrating thing you had to deal with. But now it's like, no, this is going to get me killed. Stop.
So this is just another Kalshi prediction market.
Yeah.
37.7 days is the current forecast for the shutdown. $14 million wagered on this.
Nice.
The prediction markets are absolutely amazing, my friends, because people are putting their money where their mouth is. So it's actually quite incredible that people are like, it's not a poll.
Right.
It's much more important than that. The wisdom of the crowd. That being said, and, you know, Kalshi does sponsor this show, so shout out to Kalshi. But I got to say, it's getting pretty weird when people are betting on literally everything. Everything. Like I said, there's half of me going, it's actually really great. We could track the data. We call it the wisdom of the crowd. When you get enough people to aggregate what their thought process is, it tends to be correct. That's pretty wild. But people are also wagering on literally everything. I'm split, man. Part of it's really amazing that you can. Part of it worries me that the entirety of our culture is going that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, wagering has always been fairly popular, but when you put it in, in everyone's cell phone and have them, with easy access to their bank account right there, like they don't have to go get the money to do it anymore. It's like it's all right there.
It's a game show.
Yeah,
It's a nationwide game show, a worldwide game show.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Very good point.
while I'm not a big fan of like casinos popping up everywhere, my principle, there's the liberal versus conservative argument on stuff like this. And there's two versions of each. The conservative argument of you shouldn't gamble. and the liberal argument of do whatever you want. But also, there is the conservative argument is everything within moderation. So it's fine to have available so long as people are making the right choices. And the liberal argument of people can't choose for themselves because they're not smart enough, so the government has to choose for them. So when I look at this stuff, I'm torn quite a bit on it. But I'll tell you, when I play poker quite a bit. Most of the guys that are playing these games are playing at stakes where it's not a big deal. It's not going to negatively impact your life.
Yep.
Most people who are drinking are not getting so drunk that they're destroying their lives. And then it's fine. So I like the wisdom of the crowd of these prediction markets. I think it's extremely informative and it's a very powerful tool. The concern, I suppose, then is only if someone is negatively impacted by it due to personal behavioral faults, it's on the person, not the practice.
Yeah. Well, I think the restrictions on sports betting specifically have always been more concern over the actual integrity of the sport rather than like protecting the consumer or whatever. And that's been totally vindicated because there's like story after story now of NBA players like taking ridiculous actions on the court because they know where the money line is. And like, you can literally just watch the game and they're just taking shots with like 10 seconds to go that make zero sense. Like they would have not taken 5 years ago. And it's because they know what the money line is. Right. And there's guys in the crowd tapping heads or like it feels like mafia, like 1920s baseball. Like it's crazy what's going on. But it's like, I think the people that were like highly skeptical of these, like, rolling back the sports betting bans have been totally vindicated because it's totally ruined the integrity of sport.
Man, there are some poker streams and people love watching this stuff, but there was one where a guy bet his entire net worth. It was like $100,000 and he was playing. You do not do this. This is wrong. And anybody encouraging it is a bad person. So typically what they say is if you're going to play poker, you need to have 40 times your buy-in, something like that. So you have a bankroll, meaning don't play this game unless you've saved up 40 times what it's going to cost you to play the game. Look, if you're going to a table and you're going to put $100 down at a low stakes game and just hang out with your friends and have some drinks, like just have fun. Just in all things, moderation, in all things, responsibility. So I'm not one to say we shouldn't allow people to do something. I am one to say people need to take personal responsibility. But man, there's this one video where a kid, he won. He put his entire net worth on the poker table and was playing. And that is very dumb. Don't do that. Very, very stupid. We're going to go to your Rumble rants and Super Chat. So smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member of our Discord server at timcast.com. Check this out. Go to timcast.com. Click Join Us right here on the left. And you can get a membership for the Discord community where, look at that, we added Tate. There were two Ians.
There was.
So we were like, we got to figure out how to get in Tate in there. And look, he's
glitch.
Wearing a sweater and a duplication glitch.
Yeah.
So join the Discord. As a member, you're helping keep this company up and running. You help make it all possible. But more importantly, the community is everything. And with as crazy as things are getting, look, man, the way governments fall, the way confidence breaks is when people don't have neighbors to talk to. When the left says, shout out to Carl Benjamin, when the left says diversity is our strength, people are shocked, and these conservatives laugh and say, no, it's not. Diversity is not our strength. What they don't understand is the liberals looking them in the eye and going, not you, our. You are not included in that statement. Diversity is their strength because it strips you of your power, your ability to communicate with your neighbors and rally against tyranny. That's why community is so important. If not ours, someone else's. But we have this Discord community where you can hang out, talk to like-minded individuals. And so long as you have people who can provide you support or who you can provide support for, it becomes increasingly difficult for these evil people to take control. Imagine one day you're watching TV and you turn it on and there's a strange man you've never seen before and he says, I'm in charge of your town now. And then police show up and they knock on your door and they say, we're now in charge. You'll do as we say. We want you to put this pride flag on your house. You're not allowed to buy these products anymore. You're just sitting there going, okay, I guess. Now imagine you have a real community with your locals and your neighbors. And someone comes on the TV and says, you're all going to fly these flags. And you get in your group chat, you get in your online communication, your Discord, whatever it is, or your town hall, and everyone says, we ain't doing it. I got your back, you got mine. And everybody says no. Then when these psychopaths show up and say, hang the flag, you say, You've got a community of people who are backing you, and you know this is being rejected by your community. That's why it's important that humans come together. So check it out. Smash the like button, share the show. Let's grab your Rumble rants and super chats, see what's going on. CJMCV says, if the tree stand was a message, wouldn't there be an engraved casing or something? The left is anything but subtle. Always love the shirt, Phil.
If the FBI created the tree stand, there would have been a message.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why they would assume there would be a message. Like,
it's kind of true though. They like, they're so Marvel brain. They're obsessed with cameos and Easter eggs and whatever. So like, they literally can't help themselves. Like they cannot. They write like gay ooh messages on it or whatever. Like they literally cannot resist the urge to make a meme out of something.
But wouldn't that speak to this actually being something more serious?
That's what I mean. So I'm like, this means this was something tangible.
Yeah, it was real, or
so
likely to be real.
Thuvia says, Tim, why would anyone want you to not talk about threats against you? We'll start with the Ian argument. Ian's argument is that by talking about it, you're manifesting it. You are creating the ideas in the minds of people, which they can then act upon. And he's not completely wrong, but I think he's largely wrong in the general concept. This argument is don't bring it up because someone who didn't consider it may in the future. It's kind of like with school shootings. When they started to get crazy. It's because no one had considered it. Harriet Tubman said, I freed many slaves. I would have freed many more if only they knew they were slaves. If the concept doesn't exist among a people, you don't see that come to fruition. So it also works with the American Revolution. The idea of governance by the people was something that was very, 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 very ancient. And modern government was divine providence of kings. And so once the idea of liberty, and we call this classical liberalism, it's in the true sense of, the people governing themselves, it started to become ubiquitous. So right now, that's one of the concerns. I get it, I suppose. The other is that giving away information creates security threats. One of the instances we had when we were still at the castle, we were forced to evacuate for 3 hours because somehow a person who levied a threat against us had insider information. We went through this whole process of somebody who was leaking information, increasing the security threats. Nobody would admit to doing it, and we had to, quote unquote, color the water to figure out who was doing it, and I believe that we ultimately figured out who was doing it. The leaking stopped, and it stopped the threats. So, to put it lightly, if someone calls a threat and it's generic, I did bad thing, but bad thing could affect literally any building at any point. Someone calls in and says, here's personal private information, here's how I did bad thing. Security comes to us and says, is personal thing true? Yes. Okay, this person has insider information they shouldn't have. Get out of the building. Because if they can't have that information, one of the potentials is that they gained it by being in the building, in which case it's possible that the threat is real. But there's another reason of there's the ego of people saying we don't want to look weak and we don't want people to think that we're fazed by threats, blah, blah, blah. That's silly. The left claims everything's a threat. Someone could fart and oh, help, I'm being killed. And they rally around it and use it to manipulate people. Meanwhile, the right is like, just don't say anything. And then they don't. They don't. How many prominent conservatives routinely talk about the threats they get? How many leftists do it? Relatively more than the right. Yet the left can go out. Hassan walks around at these protests. Isn't that crazy? You ever see those videos? Hassan will go out to these protests and walk around. Wow, I can't do that. That's crazy. Because despite being the biggest leftist streamer, conservatives are not trying to kill people. So even Hassan has nothing to worry about. I'm sure he has some to worry about, but for the most part, not relative to what the right deals with. Shannon Wander says, Tim, I applaud you for talking about threats. Screw people being scared of how bad it actually is. They need to understand that this isn't an effing game. When you have psychos, you must remain on guard. There's fears that if we said, oh, hey, we have an event coming up, people are threatening it, people won't come. So I will stress, we do have an event coming up. There aren't any threats. This is the Culture War Podcast Live. Let me see. Who do we have? Are the guests listed? I think we got Emily Saves America. We got it. We got Alex Stein, Emily Saves America, Myron Gaines, Brian Shapiro, and we're talking about dating in the modern age. November 8th, live in D.C. at the DC Comedy Loft. Tickets are available now. Get your tickets while you can because we've I think we've effectively sold out every show we did last time. It's only like 200 seats, and they're gone quick. DCComedyLoft.com. You'll find the show there. All right. JJ Max says, Have Tate read 2 Thessalonians 2:1 through 1 through 12. Tim, you seem black-pilled. Hope is in truth. Now finish 2 Thessalonians 2 on your own and read Revelation 18. Then read to 22. Christ is Lord, acknowledged or not. I don't like the phrase black-pilled. Hassan is black-pilled. You see what happened with that when he screamed. He hated the left. He was back-pilled and nihilistic and just losing it. Because people, dude, the dog thing won't stop. I guess like prominent streamers showed up to TwitchCon dressed like Hassan and their dog, and everybody was making jokes about electrocuting the dog, and they're really wearing him down, and he's losing it. But people are finding more and more clips that appear to show him shocking his dog.
Yeah.
What people are saying is that he normally mutes the microphone before shocking the dog, and what happened was this time he forgot. So when he shocked the dog yelped, and everyone heard. But if you watch other videos, you can see him mute his microphone before shocking the dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not black-pilled. It's realism. We are dealing with very serious threats. We are facing the repercussions of these threats, how it impacts us in every possible way, financially, family-wise, all of these things. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And with our security, like I mentioned, you can track your known threats and you can secure against them. But when you have regular libs just for no reason trying to kill or advocating the murder of conservatives, this is like, okay, I guess I can't go to New York anymore. Because out of the 4 million people in New York, if one of them is deranged and wants to kill me and sees me, they will. Look at Andy Ngo when he walked through Portland and they tried to murder him. And that was years ago. If Andy Ngo went back to Portland right now, he'd probably get strung up. That's where we're currently at. You just got to hope most people don't know who you are. All right. Doc B says, wearing the church as a husk skin suit is totally accurate. You can see a good analog of it and fiction in Man in the High Castle. They still have people go to church and worship the state instead of God.
Yeah. And the French did something similar after the French Revolution. They just used the church as a skin suit and created the a religion of man that was 100% man-centered, and so there's an analog in real life as well,
which is a total failure.
Yeah, and then Napoleon brought back the church, so it didn't even last very long. But they tried it, and they're trying it again.
Stoke the Fire says, suggestion for Cass Brew, the Hunter Biden blend with 5 times caffeine because Coke is illegal. How about the Hunter Biden blend? It's literally just powdered caffeine in a coffee bag. Yeah. No, that young woman died from drinking the Panera lemonade. Is that what happened? She died?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a death, right?
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes I think I need a Panera charged lemonade. Like every once in a while, I'm like, this actually would probably fix me right now. But
yeah. Student died. She was 21, and she didn't know that the lemonade had a super high caffeine content, so she kept drinking it because she was like, I like lemonade. And then she died.
She drank like 5 back to back or something.
Yeah, but dude, yes, but like I'll go to Chipotle and they have the unsweet tea thing. I'll fill one up. I might finish a medium and then go back and fill it up again. If they're putting like insane amounts of caffeine in it and you don't know and you think you're just drinking tea.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm not going to shill for Panera, but I think the argument is that they called it like charged lemonade, and because they're like, everyone knows if you drink like 5 Monsters back to back, you're gonna have like a heart problem.
Yeah, but I think it was just like a lemonade dispenser. You walk up to it, pull the thing down, and if you don't know what that is, you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's like Russian roulette at the drink fountain these days.
All right. Matty I says, can you please bring on Curtis Lewa to help boost him? God knows you've talked about the communists enough. We need to rally behind our nominee. Why? He says we shouldn't be deporting people.
Yeah.
He said that at the debate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, obviously, like the very serious criminals, but the people, the other illegals, they're fine.
Pandering to that vote.
He has been really entertaining. Like they asked them, like, has anybody ever been to a cannabis dispensary? And then Mamdani was like, yeah. And then Cuomo was like, no. And then Slee was like, I got shot 3 times. And then he just went into this long.
He's got a wild history in the city.
I'm wondering, like, Mamdani, when he issues like Sharia law, maybe he can find like a job for Curtis Lewa as like, chief of vibes or something. That could be
You think that it's going to be Sharia law or authoritarian communism?
It's just going to be like third world, like slop. But if anything, Sharia law would probably be preferable to what's coming to New York because we see it in South Africa. It's a great example.
Yeah, it's not going to be Sharia law if he's going to decriminalize prostitution or
yeah. Regardless, let's find a gig for Sliwa. He's something like storyteller.
He has the meme vote though.
The meme vote.
That's real power, because this is what this is the mistake the left is making. Slee was funny to make fun of, and so he ends up being the funny candidate to vote for. So the memes people are posting are Zoran saying, "I have a plan that will bring free childcare to all families in New York." Cuomo then says something like, "Don't the families shouldn't be blaming me for kissing all those people. I'm Italian." And then Curtis Lewis says, 17 years ago, I was riding in the back of a bus in Cambodia when 3 guys tried stealing my backpack. But because of those jokes, all the responses are like, he's got my vote. And they're memeing him into office. It'd be the funniest thing ever if he won.
It's a really fine line you have to strike, because it worked with Trump, but then when Bloomberg tried it, he was just the butt of every joke and won like American Samoa. So it's you have very specific line you have to hold.
I got to run, guys, but I think George Santos should be mayor of New York City.
So
He's going to be here.
When he's here, can everyone try to convince him it's legal? He can still do it. There's still time.
So Fuentes canceled on us. He had something come up, and he wants to reschedule. I got to be honest. It's no beef. He just said that these things happen, and I feel for him, especially with people trying to kill him. So, but he's been really hard to book. Hey man, he doesn't owe us anything, and whatever. But with that opening, we were able to move somebody, and then I guess George Santos is available now that he's free.
The diva is free.
I'll see you guys later. Thanks for having me. It's nice meeting you. You can please join us at Inverted World Live on Rumble and YouTube. We'll be live at 10 o'clock in 10 minutes, talking about our new fake moon. We're going to talk about Avi Loeb, Harvard professor who thinks 3i Atlas is coming to Earth. It's an aggressive probe that they say. There's always a new news every day. It's behind the sun right now. And we'll see you guys there. We'll take calls till midnight, so give us a call. See y'all.
Anybody can call in.
Anybody can call.
Make sure you check out Inverted World Live, and Brando will be upset if you don't.
Indeed.
The two moons thing, it's actually I've seen other stuff talking about it.
They're launching a satellite that's going to reflect light. Is that what it is?
No, it's an actual space rock, if I understand.
Oh, that got caught by Earth's orbit. Oh, there was conversation China wanted to launch a satellite that would reflect a massive amount of light. It would launch like a big foil or something.
Oh yes.
And then it would look like a second moon, so that they would constantly have moonlight. I mean, guys,
it's better than blocking out the sun.
Yeah.
You know the story about how the power outage in LA in the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody started calling the police, reporting something in the sky. They had seen the Milky Way for the first time. That's crazy.
It's hilarious. You can, people even around here, you can see the Milky Way, over at my place.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Out in the country, and we're not even that country.
Mm-hmm.
During a new moon, it's pitch black.
Yep.
It's nuts. And then during a full moon, there's moon shadows.
Mm-hmm.
But people from cities they don't know this stuff. It's kind of wild. And I know there are people out there being like, no, come on. People from cities can go out the country. Dude, people in LA called the police because they didn't know what the Milky Way was when the power went out.
And if you live in LA, it is difficult to get to a place where there is no light. LA is such a massive sprawl.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about at least a 2-hour drive to get to the desert where there's no significant light pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went with a crew to the Mojave once, and we did time-lapse Milky Way. I think Luke might have been there. Time-lapse Milky Way shots. And they look super cool.
That's got to be sick.
Yeah.
I want to go down to at some point in my life, I want to go to South America or to the Southern Hemisphere so we can look in towards the center of the galaxy, because up here in the Northern Hemisphere, you're seeing the Milky Way, but you're seeing one of the arms. You're looking literally out of the galaxy. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you can see in towards the center where the action is.
Right.
David Bricken says, when it comes to Democrats, Ice Cube said it best in Boys in the Hood. They either don't know, don't show, or don't give an F about what's going on in the hood. Yep.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
Loud Tambor says FEMA could be so brazen to box the donations with Democrat Party stickers. Brazen to box the donations with Democrat Party stickers. Did they do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Novel Theory says explanation: heightened emotional states, hate, fear, etc., shut down the prefrontal cortex, the cognitive center of the brain. Indeed, there's a very famous story. It's probably a urban legend or apocryphal, but a group of U.S. sailors, ship capsized, and they were on a life raft. And one of the sailors grabbed his pistol, took it apart, and took each piece and handed each piece to each guy on the raft. And then he said, "You're each being assigned a piece. We're going to put this back together. I'm going to tell you when I call out the piece, you need to, hand it to me." And then it's credited with saving them because it took them out of panic mode and fear mode and put them into a logical mode. So simply by taking apart the weapon and putting it back together. Yeah.
There you go.
Smart.
It's probably apocryphal, but, fun story. Ossery says wrong Phil. It says wrong Phi, by the way. So I'll read it as verbatim. Wrong Phi. I was stationed at MCAS Cherry Point, North Carolina, and there were often deer at the end of the flight line. Here in Macomb, Georgia, where you toured last year, Macomb Municipal often has deer and hogs at the end of the runways. He's talking to you?
I guess so, maybe. I still can't imagine there being a lot of deer in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach. Yeah.
KP says, Tim, this is your stream, and I support you saying on your platform what you want. There are trolls in the chat that should leave. It's about diplomacy. So people come to me and they're like, "Hey, Tim, like we shouldn't talk about these things. Don't make it public because we don't want people to think this," or like, I'm not talking about anything pertaining to matters of public interest in the sense that, hey, there's a chemical or we're defrauding people. No, I'm saying, hey, the security stuff is going to freak people out. It's going to make things worse for your sake and for everyone's sake. Just keep it on the down low. And that's what everyone on the right has done. Even Steven Crowder said he felt a little guilty by not telling people the threats that he faced when he was doing Change My Mind. Because maybe if he had explained to people how serious the threats and the attacks against him were, Charlie may have had better protection or done something different. And I had this conversation with Steven about this because he's right. We get told by our security companies. We get told by other conservative personalities, just don't talk about it because you don't want to put the idea out there. You don't want to give people access to information. And then it just keeps getting worse. I don't know how it could get worse at this point. So when they're like, oh, the left is already going around posting lists of names of the people they want to kill with myself and many other conservative personalities posted on it. And the funny thing is, I am a conservative, but it basically means not liberal, right?
Yeah. Someone who would go against the liberal orthodoxy.
Yep. All right, we got this from Tac Genesis. It says, I'm baptized and confirmed Catholic, but don't practice or participate. But I think at this point, the Pope needs to re-implement the Knights Templar as a volunteer force to protect these churches. Who were you talking about last week when I said they're more likely to yell Deus Vult? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I was like, was it Matt Walsh? Maybe. Probably not. I think I was talking to Seamus. Oh, yeah. He was talking about Matt Walsh and some other conservative. I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to believe that Matt Walsh is more likely to scream out Deus Vult. And, Remember, you guys remember when I called Matt Walsh a paladin and he didn't know what that was? But I'm not saying that derisively.
No, paladin is actually a compliment.
Yeah.
Unless you're a WoW player and you're a horde guy, then it might be a little bit of an insult.
Sure. But I said to Matt Walsh, I said, I think you're a paladin and I'm a rogue. And he was like, a paladin? And I was like, yeah, like a divine knight of holy retribution. And he goes, I'm going to take that as a compliment. And I'm like, it is a compliment. It literally, I'm saying you're a holy warrior fighting for divine retribution. And I'm more of a rogue where I'm like, I'm going to do my thing. And so Timcast is in this weird space working towards a positive end, but in a weird way. And Matt Walsh is a divine warrior fighting directly in the path of the light. You know what I mean? Let's grab a couple more. All right. Red Rum says, did you see Anna Kasparian getting attacked? No.
Yeah, apparently her dog got attacked.
What happened?
By someone else. Something with a shot collar. I believe that's the
joke?
case. Well, the shot collar was the shot collar was a joke. Was Serge, but she actually was attacked.
A dog was sicked on her?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Whoa. Is there video of it?
I don't think so. No.
Whoa. We'll pull this up. I have the clip here. We'll. Wow. This is crazy. She says a dog attacked her this morning.
When she was
screaming at her about Israel or something.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about this for the uncensored portion of the show. My friends, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Head over to rumble.com/Timcast IRL for the uncensored portion of the show where we will have a very serious conversation that I think you guys need to hear. Important functional conversations happening and discussions. So again, rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Theodis, do you want to shout anything out?
Oh yeah. If you wanna follow me for my campaign, you can go to Team Daniel 4. That's by FOR Congress.us. Or DJ. If you want to just look him up, whatever, you can look under DeVarjay. It's spelled DEVARJAYE, DJ Daniel, and follow him. And then he actually has his meme coin launching about 6 hours from now.
Oh wow!
And that's his actual coin. So this is the first time.
Right on.
Yeah. So we definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Stuff. Yeah. Follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Check out today's interview with Will Chamberlain on the Culture War. It was a good one. We discussed the gravity challenged woman in Chicago that was deranged. So it was a good interview. Go check that out.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can check out the new song by Zillion that I featured on. The song is called Cannibals. You can get it on Spotify. It's available right now. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer. You can also check out my band on all of those platforms as well. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.